can come off as a narcissistic in a world full of cyst humor.
Dum. For anyone tuning in that doesn't know, Kelty got a massive cyst drained from his top back. Yeah?
Yeah, right in the center of my spine.
No big deal.
No big deal at all. All right, now since we are hot on the video, I'm going to share the link. Actually, I'm going to rename it first so that it isn't live from Mevo. Episode number 65. I'm so stoked that we are at episode number 65. So.
It's just insane to me that you've put out the amount of work that you have and the amount of time that you've done it in.
You know
That's some productivity, mofos.
After I had that conversation with your husband at Bubba's that night when he gave me the new artwork and was like...
He was very excited to do that, by the way.
Dude, yes, by the way, Alisha Brown's wonderful husband, Tyler Brown, is the one who provided the artwork for MI stuff, which I have to train myself to say MI stuff so I don't confuse people like, my stuff. Like, this is, they'll find some other podcast that's probably ranked much higher than mine.
I doubt it. You're ranking pretty high up there these days, I hear.
I mean,
Don't be modest.
As far as through the vessel in which I upload, there's a lot of prominent people that upload through the same vessel that I use. But I don't know, I feel...
You're like top 40, top 50?
I'm in the top something. I wonder where I am today. Let's check this out. So we can give them a real-time information, see where we are today. I'm going to say I'm in the 70s.
I think that's amazing.
61!
Blam, bitches!
61 with 25 downloads yesterday, 12 visits yesterday. This week's stats, let's see how many downloads we've had this week. We're going to brag for a second, guys. Sorry.
I think it's earned.
161 downloads this week.
Bam!
And I think we've released... I released an episode yesterday, I think. Esteban came by yesterday.
Oh, did he talk about his travels?
Yes, that's exactly what he talked about. We were like, if somebody wanted to do and we're repeating myself for you, Cheese, from yesterday. Anybody who wanted to do travels like on
Nomadic,
a very,
Pinterest lifestyle.
On a very, very limited budget, a way to do so because he's doing it all through Lyft. And everything. All right, so we got this.
I like Lyft. Shout out Lyft.
Shout out to our sponsors.
Fuck you, Uber.
Fuber.
Fuber.
Fucked up beyond all recognition.
Aye. It's just sketch.
All right. Charlie Gray's going to Thailand first of the year. Good for you, Charlie.
Really?
Looks like it.
Man.
15 minutes ago, he says.
Dang.
All right, now I'm going to share the video that we're doing right now. There's apparently somebody watching, but I think it's me.
Bummer.
We had I think we've already got like 10 views on the other one so far.
I'll take what I can get.
We're doing pretty well. We're doing pretty well. I usually don't have a lot. Yeah.
All right, cool.
For right now, yeah, absolutely. That people have watched that many before we even stop the video. That's pretty good.
Cool.
It'd be different if it were on like Facebook Live because I have a giant following on Facebook, but I feel like that would be cheating. If I tap my podcast into my personal Facebook page, you know what I mean?
You want to keep it separate?
I want to keep those separate and sort of build and obviously I share everything through my actual page too, so.
I think kudos to you for doing that and trying to keep your personal and private life separate.
I like to try to do that. Part 2 featuring, let's see. I'm going to do a little bit more description than that.
Sure, why not?
Oh, not as Alisha. Just Ha. Part 2.
That was my ankle that just popped for the record.
Gosh. every day.
I got them old bones.
I stand up and like I'll my knees. I have to pull my knees in to pop my
Man,
knees,
they
and
hurt
then
so bad.
you stand up straight, and then your spine your
Oy.
spine's like this, but then you stand up straight, and it pops back into place where it's
Yeah.
supposed to be.
It's like a
yeah,
domino effect, and you're
Absolutely.
like, I'm just fucked.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Share.
Aging gracefully, guys.
Yeah, we are. Finishing up the brain talk. I called it the brain talk.
I think that's pretty accurate, yeah. All things considered.
All things considered, which is a very good online music show.
Shout out NPR.
Shout out NPR, indeed. Gosh, I love the Tiny Desk. That's my dream.
Yeah. So
That's my dream.
I kind of really love Hobo Johnson. And I was turned on to him through Facebook. I went through like a cycle, watched a million videos, and then I came across one of his like impromptu things or whatever.
I'm gonna go hide on audio too.
Self-promos. Sure. But yeah, so he posted the full like Tiny Desk thing that they did, and it's great. It's just great.
Thank God for NPR, because there's not a lot of places that you can go consistently and find good music.
Yeah, that's true.
For one place anyway. Like,
Yeah, I sometimes wish it was a little more politics removed, but I tend to like the
as
personal
everything else should
pieces.
be.
Oh my gosh, it's just insane, the level of...
No, everybody has a microphone now, and people who shouldn't be weighing in are, and everybody talks about how great America was during the times of the 50s, 60s, or whatnot. And I mean, outside of
minus segregation.
yeah, outside of
and
racism and all of that
Jim Crow
negativity.
and-
Yeah, outside of all of that,
It was great to be white.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. If you were
Like-
white back then, it was there no problems at all, and that is the huge stain. And we have to talk about that too now that that's been brought up.
Yeah, sure.
I watched Dana Carvey stand up last night.
I'm not sure I'm familiar.
Dana,
Should I know who Dana Carvey is?
Dana Carvey was George W. on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
W.
Gotcha.
He,
W.
W. He was George W. on Saturday Night Live.
Fair enough.
He did a stand up last night and was saying that it so eloquently said that he was just so ashamed of how white people behaved in the past. And I have had a conversation before with somebody who both of us know, and I won't name for obvious reasons, but who told me that when I told them, yes, I have white guilt. Yes, I feel guilty I feel guilty for the things that my ancestors did.
Okay.
And I wonder, is that okay? Is that right? Should I feel bad about? Because I do. Like, I feel bad about the things that my ancestors did.
I would say coming from fresh out of, Clemson higher ed education, like that sort of closed circuit of information that's being like recirculated, right? I think that if you don't feel bad about it, or if you do feel bad about it, it probably reasons to say that the dialogue hasn't gotten to where it needs to be yet.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Like that.
These things should be uncomfortable to talk about. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It should be uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's important that there's an open dialogue and a process that happens, because otherwise, like, how do we come to terms with that? How do we become aware of that? And then how do we move on from it?
I feel like that we're nearing the time in our country's history or future or whatever. I feel like we're nearing the time in which it needs to be verbally addressed that, hey, I realize that there were things that happened in the past that my ancestors did that are pretty shitty.
Yesterday.
Yeah. I mean,
let's be honest about it.
yeah.
You know?
Well, you're absolutely right, and I feel like the time's coming in which people need to address the fact that yes, there are problems. I am aware of those problems, and
Yeah.
I want to work to reverse these things.
There's a structural hierarchy, and it's woven into the fabric of our nation.
Yeah.
And until we can talk about that openly and have an honest dialogue and transaction,
Yeah.
we're always going to be at a disadvantage. And it doesn't matter the color of your skin, your shape, your size, your sex. It doesn't matter anything about that because all of that is, in my opinion, circumstantial.
Yes.
We're all different. We all bring different experiences to the table. And if we can't talk about them openly and honestly and ask questions about how we defer from the person we're talking to, and then openly and honestly listen to what they're telling us back, that's a big thing, I think.
Yeah.
We're always gonna,
not a lot of communication there.
We're never going to learn. We're never going to grow.
And that's sad to get to a point in your life when you feel like there's something that needs to be done and something that needs to be changed so that you can progress in your own life so that you can become a better person. And I feel like that and I see a lot of this. I noticed that I talk to a lot of the folks in the Small Beans Discord. Shout out Small Beans folks that listen. I talk a lot about this in that Discord channel and realize that maybe it's just the area because I'm very confined in this area to certain mindsets and certain types of people, but I just am very ashamed in how many people that I see on my Facebook friends list who are just comfortable with being a racist and not realizing that what they're doing is inherently racist. And I just feel awful about that.
Okay.
When I don't say anything, when I don't address it.
Yep, I agree. And I think that it's worth saying that anytime you come from a Southern sort of background, it's almost inherent that the conversation is going to turn to racism.
Yeah.
Also, I think there's a bigger factor at play, and it comes into like socioeconomic status, right? Like the region in which you grow up, what's the average cost of living, what's the average income, how do salaries differ according to levels of education.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Those are things that are worth bringing up and talking about. You know, like, shout out Small Beans. Shout out to that Californian mentality. It's expensive to live in California. It's so expensive. And it almost guarantees that the people that you come into contact with on a daily basis, unless they were born within that area, they have an education. They went to school for something, right? So reasons to stand that their salaries are going to be higher, right?
Yeah.
It's a different set of problems that Californians face versus when you're living in South Carolina and we're used to the struggle of living in a lower socioeconomic bracket, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's one thing to think about. It's not always racism. It's not always sexism, even though those are things that we continually see in the news. Sometimes it just comes back to money.
Yeah, it is money.
Just saying.
Money changes a lot of things.
Yeah, it does, and so does education. You know?
I think that education changes more things than money.
Yeah, well, because, you know, it's assumed that the more education you have, the more money you're going to make.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Statistically.
I don't disagree with that at all. I feel like...
in a traditional convention.
And I look at education as not necessarily like college education, but more life education.
Right.
As in that you don't really have to go to college to realize that maybe some of the things that are going on around you are just shitty things. Or maybe...
book smart versus street smart.
Absolutely. And there's something to be said for someone who is street smart. Because that takes uber more experience points than...
So, do you remember Kenny Ryan? From, he worked at Dockside Bubba's for a while. He lives in, he moved out with us to Arizona, right?
I don't know that I knew him.
Okay, so he lives now in New York. He does stand-up. Killing it. Shout out Kenny. Funny as fuck. But yeah, so the last time he was in town, I don't think he really realized that I was like back in school and doing all these things. And he was a little buzzed. We both were. But one of the comments he said was like, I always knew you were street smart. I just didn't realize you were book smart. And then it was like his mind was blown.
Yeah.
That, there's an individual that has the capacity to do both.
Yes.
But I do completely agree with what you're saying. It's two different sort of vernaculars.
Yeah, 100%. And just like the things that I said, like I believe that I got all the points now that maybe some of my teachers in public school were trying to show me back then.
Yeah, but you learned it the hard way. You earned it.
And I think it means more to me now.
Of course it does.
And not to say that someone who learned that in school that wouldn't mean that wouldn't mean anything to them, right, or as much. But I just feel like I get more out of this because I'm that person. If I don't figure it out on my own, I feel like I won't learn it because I'm that kind of person that just doesn't want to listen to anybody. I know best for me. And
well, I think it goes back to like how you acquire information.
Yeah.
And what type of learner you are. For me, I'm an applied learner, so you can talk to me all day. I can memorize a ton of shit, take a test, regurgitate it, and then fucking forget it. That's fine. But if I really want to acquire a new skill, I have to be hands-on. I have to do it myself.
Yeah.
So at Clemson, I really kind of just dove headfirst into the whole research thing, right? And in the grand scheme of things, my GPA did suffer from that because I was juggling a million other outside things, right? But I wouldn't trade that for the world because where I come from, experience trumps any sort of like book.
Absolutely. And you definitely did a lot of things that my anxiety would not allow me to do. Like I would not have been able to go to California and give a presentation.
California was pretty chill. It was just like a room of like a couple hundred people that were hammered and would just kind of like walk by your poster and go, "Oh, that's cool. Tell me more about that." DC was the one for me. That was really terrifying. And that was the JCCAP Future Directions Forum, which was basically the Journal for Childhood and Adolescent Clinical Psychology, and I had applied my senior thesis research for stigma.
Yeah.
And that was fucking stressful as fuck. Like,
how did you make it through that?
Well, I obsessed and fixated for a couple months prior, but I did have a couple people shout out Marshall Staten. Shout out Eric Hall. Shout out any other professional or paraprofessional that I reached out to and was neurotic about for advice. Because they really helped me kind of put things into perspective and focus. And honestly, when I got there, about 15 minutes before presenting, which was on like one of those jumbo screens, right?
Yeah.
So there were 4 of those, and I was one of the 4. And it was like probably the size of this wall behind you, and that's just everything I did over the course of a year behind me.
Yeah.
So I was like really anxious and freaking out about just sounding like an idiot in front of these people. And also, I feel like I should say that I was the only undergrad. It was all like PhD and postdoctoral students. Way fucking smarter than I was, like on every level. And somehow, dumb luck, I had some mentors that just really helped me, throw some Hail Marys. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. But so basically how I got through it was I walked right up to the director and the editor of the JCCAP, the academic journal, and stuck my hand out and was like, "Hi, I'm Alisha Rice, and I want to thank you for your initial rejection letter for my submission." He was like, "What?" But of course, immediately he knew who I was because he basically was like, "Hey, man, you just need to give us some like real world data." You know, and I didn't have it at that point, but I got it in a week. But anyway, I thanked him for rejecting me. That's how I got through it.
See, a lot of people don't understand that is how this whole thing works more often than not. Is you have to, just like the lobster in the shell. When the shell gets uncomfortable, the lobster has to shed its shell so it can grow a new one.
Yeah.
And it takes that discomfort and the negativity that you feel to push yourself into that next.
Yeah, and you know, I can't speak for everybody, but if you're like me and you're self-deprecating in any capacity, it's really hard to put yourself in those situations.
Yeah.
But I have found that, and this is like sort of my redneck nugget of wisdom right now. That's what this is going to be. The more times I fuck up, the better I do in the future.
Absolutely.
And that's just the truth of it. Like, if I fail and I look like an idiot, I'm going to take some notes and I'm going to do it better the next time.
Absolutely.
It's a learning curve, you know?
That's the cornbread way. That's what we do.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know if you guys ever listened to cornbread when they first started, but it's a different cornbread from what you get now.
Listen, I'm telling you, like in the beginning, we sucked.
Oh my God, it used to be like 15-minute interlogs after one song of just trying to figure out what song you're playing next.
We were just so drunk.
Well, yeah, that too.
It was definitely a party. It was definitely just a party, and it was definitely we're gonna try this, we're gonna do this, and Adam and Smitty are like, okay. And I'm like, dude, just trust me. Let's try it. And then we'll try it, and we'll do it shittily 10 times, but then we get it right. And we've just been doing that same thing for 7 years.
Yeah, but as you do that, the more times you mess up, the more times you try to figure out,
Absolutely.
Can we play this song? Can we not? Basically, what's happened is like your set list has gotten longer and longer and longer and longer the more you go through it. That's the beauty of failing, guys.
There is the art of failing. Who wrote that book?
Oh, yeah, I don't know, but I'm going to Google it for you.
The Art of Failing. You know, I think that might have been a book that was from a show. I think that was a book that Aziz Ansari's character wrote in Parks and Rec.
No, because there's a million things that, okay. So I typed in the Art of Failing. Actually, I mistyped it, and then it said, "Did you mean the art of failing?" And I got 6,340,000 results returned. So apparently there's been a lot of things written under that title.
Like, the best things that happen in someone's life usually come right after one of the worst things that has happened.
Oh my God, 100%, yes.
When you realize, okay, I don't want that to happen again, so how do I fix this?
Yeah, how do I not look like an idiot next time? Well, that's usually how I perceive it in my mind.
90% of the things that I do in my life and ways that I speak and things that I choose to say come from a place of not wanting to look like an idiot.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
On a visceral level, I relate to that.
There has to be something to be said for folks for me, to be thought of as intelligent is more important than being liked. Or being honest is more important than being liked. I think the older that I get, the less concerned I am with being accepted or liked.
I don't know that I've gotten to that point of enlightenment yet.
I just don't care. I just can't care anymore. I'm just fucking over it.
I still want to be liked. I got to be honest. Hurts my feelings when I'm not liked.
See, I guess it would bother me if I found that somebody didn't like me, but I would try to find out what it was that they didn't like about me and correct that so that no one else could ever say that.
See, I will say, I'm not going to correct shit.
And I say that, and I probably wouldn't either.
I will ruminate on the fact that this one individual doesn't like me because of this one thing, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to change any of that, so I don't really know why I ruminate, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of my own self-deprecating.
And also that depends on whether or not why this person dislikes me is founded or not. Like if it's something that I can say, okay, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna change.
Well, that goes back, I think, to like how they're perceiving what they think about you and how you perceive what they think about you.
Yeah, like for instance, I'm not gonna stop saying, "Hey, man, you fucked up that song." You know,
Right.
I mean, not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Because this is my thing. I'm passionate about music. It's just my thing. It's
Well,
the
you're good
only
at it.
thing that I've got that I've ever excelled at.
Yeah,
really.
you're good at it.
And I appreciate that. But I'm not gonna sit back and let somebody not take my
I ain't
my
gonna
opinion
let
seriously.
nobody. Careful, your redneck showing.
You see, we told you it was gonna come out at the end. I ain't gonna let nobody sit back and not take my words seriously because I
ain't
know
gonna
what
do
the
it.
fuck I'm talking about.
Right.
When it comes to that, like, and those things I'm not gonna change. But if it's something that's like I realized that I was a little overbearing with people in my life when I saw somebody doing something that I didn't agree with. Mm-hmm. And I was a little overbearing about saying, hey, look, I've got my life in order and I'm going to tell you how to get your life in order.
Okay, so this is a perfect segue into what we said we were going to
Yes.
talk about.
Right.
Before we went on a potty break, which is self-betterment.
What are these creatures flying in here? These mosquitoes made it inside?
I'm pretty sure I just had a gnat fly up my nose. It was weird. Anyway, self-betterment and being in an environment where it's hard to do that in a meaningful way.
Yes.
Because you establish these sort of systems and habits, and it's hard to break.
Absolutely. It's very hard to break.
But I think more... Is that right?
It's probably me. We lost some headphone feed there.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
So it's hard to break those habits and those systems, but I think more importantly, it's hard for people to perceive that you're changing those habits and those systems.
Now, what do you mean there? Do you mean it's hard for them to understand why I'm doing this, or
I think it's hard maybe for them to accept that you're doing it.
Wonder why that would be.
You know, there's a lot of... I think it's a multifactorial thing, you know. I think it could be that it's genuinely hard for them to see you in a different light than what they...
Yeah.
So for me, right, okay, I'll make it personal, right?
Okay.
When I first got with Tyler,
Uh-huh.
I basically dropped out of college and spent like the next 3 years blackout and had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
What are these creatures?
the ghosts of my party girl past, I guess. But so yeah, I like created this persona where I was a party girl, and that's all I was. You know, like going back to what Kenny said, like I knew you had street smarts, I didn't know you had book smarts.
Yeah.
Well, how could you when I was blackouts, like, you know, 5-6 nights a week?
Yeah, people don't know themselves at that point.
Correct. Yeah, you're not yourself anymore. You're a shell of a person.
Yeah.
And I think that when you move on and you try to grow, particularly for the people that you're close with and the people that have been around you through the hard times, it's hard for them, not that they don't want you to succeed.
Yes.
I think it's hard for them to wrap their brain around the fact that you're changing, which means your relationships with other people are going to change.
That's true.
So there's a level of uncertainty and a level of fear, I think, that comes along with that. And I think it's scary for the person.
Yeah, I think that they had a hard time as well.
It's hard to change, and it's harder for people to accept that you've changed.
Yeah, it wasn't... I think that that's what made it easier for me to change, was knowing that I was set apart. Because I think that that's something that's important to me, is being set apart from everyone else.
I'm the polar opposite. I've always wanted to blend in. I've always wanted to be accepted. And I've never felt like I've been accepted.
Well, I think I felt that way when I was at home. I felt like I wanted to be accepted and I wanted to be part of the crowd or whatever. But I think now, especially over the last couple of years, I've gotten to where Like if a lot of people say, hey, here's this song or this band that you need to check out, like I won't do it just because so many people already have told me to do this. And like, it's not special anymore to me that so many people have access to this thing.
God, you're such a hipster.
I mean, I guess so. But I just don't. I think also that, well, back to my point was that people have an issue with me doing something in my life that they feel like maybe they should also do in their life, but they don't feel like they're capable of doing these things, and that they don't want to, and they meet that with frustration towards me.
Sure, yeah.
And I noticed that a lot in the beginning, where people were like, "Oh, so you think you're better than us now because you don't drink anymore?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I don't think that. But after somebody asked me like a dozen times, I'm like, do you? I'll tell you the answer to that question is that I am better than the me when I was doing what I was doing every night.
Yeah.
I'm better than that guy now.
Well, just happier and more secure.
Yeah.
Like
real happiness.
Dude, I get it. That was a lot of fun.
It was great.
I was getting hammered, and I would go to the bathroom and make myself throw up just so I could go back to the bar and have more shots.
I would do that.
Yeah. Oh my God. I spent like 3 years doing that.
I would do, and a pro. Absolutely. They were like, how do you drink so much?
Because it's not getting in my system.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. I would absolutely do that.
Nothing about that is normal, and nothing about it is a long-term sort of path to happiness.
No, not at all. And I was texting with somebody last night who asked me a similar question, and this person will also remain nameless. But I said the thing that you need, this person was like, I saw a doctor. I think I need to make some life changes, and I need to better myself. Basically, I need to make some changes in my life. And I said, if you want the
like lifestyle, diet, like that kind of thing.
Yes, and I told him, I was like, there's nothing that you can do that's gonna fix everything immediately.
Well, no, because a lot of the lifestyle and the diet things stem from bigger problems.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, let's be honest. Nobody goes out to a bar every single night, gets hammered, makes themselves throw up, or goes to bed every night with the spins because they enjoy the feeling of that.
Yeah, nobody likes that.
Like, let's be honest.
Nobody likes that. Nobody wants that.
I didn't like that. I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled.
You're happy while it's going on.
It took me having a child and having someone that loved me and validated me unconditionally before I realized, like, what the fuck am I doing?
Absolutely. And I just like I told this person yesterday, I was like, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if you want my advice, I'll tell you what happened for me. If you want to fix everything in one fell swoop, I said just go. And this person was telling me that they have an actual problem with alcohol. Mm-hmm. And I said, dude, just literally. Oh God, Patrick Hanna. I'm not taking off my pants, Will. Will Hanna's always.
Wait, was it Will or Patrick?
Patrick, but Patrick speaking on behalf of Will.
Go to bed. You got to go to the DMV in the morning. You got to get that shit done.
There you go, Patrick. Yeah, see, I randomly see this one comment that comes up on here, and I never respond to anything. But anyway, this person was telling me that they have an issue with alcohol, and I said, if you want to fix everything in one fell swoop, I said, don't drink anything else. Tell everybody around you that you haven't, that you're not going to. Mm-hmm. And this is only like I said, I'm not gonna say this to somebody on a whim. Right. I was prompted and I was asked for help and advice on how to do what I did.
Yeah.
And I gave that answer. So I don't want this to feel like I'm preaching at anybody out there or anything. Like anytime you have a problem with something, that it is up to you to decide that is a problem. I'm not the person to tell you that. I'm just literally saying what I told this other person is just to.
may I also just interject real quickly?
Absolutely.
Because I feel like it needs to be said, if you really and genuinely have a problem with alcohol and it's on a level where your doctors are concerned for your medical well-being, I would not advise you to quit cold turkey. I would advise you to go to your doctor and to withdraw under medical supervision because, in fact, alcohol is one of the only mind-altering substances that you can actually die from if you just abstain. If you're a true alcoholic.
It almost happened to me.
I believe it. Yeah, I just think that that's something that needs to be said. Like if you're genuinely concerned for the quantity of...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, proceed.
But that's what I said. I told him, I was like, dude, just prepare for the worst 2 weeks of your life. Prepare for the worst 2 weeks of your life. Prepare to be miserable. Tell the people around you in your life that you may be a little bit more temperamental than normal and prepare them for that. And then on the third week, you get something that that nobody else can take from you. And that is the real feeling of happiness.
Man, that's beautiful.
After you have the 2 worst weeks you will ever have in your life, the worst 14 consecutive days in your life, on day 15, I guarantee you that's something that nobody can take from you. Mm-hmm. That's something that nobody can take from you. And any time that you are in a position to where you can be made into a better person by yourself, I don't see why more people don't choose that route. Just to make changes in your own life to the things that you feel are problems. And like I said, this is custom to each individual person. This isn't one thing that I'm telling every person to do. This is just for one of my friends' situation. In your life, it may be something different, like we were talking about before we went live with the fast food thing. Like that, it may be something that you just need to remove yourself from in that aspect.
Yeah, so actually, like, as you were talking about that, I was kind of looking up, just because I wanted to be sure when I was saying it, but...
Yeah.
So, like, alcohol withdrawal symptoms, if you think about neurotransmitters, right? One of the main ones involved with that is GABA, which really deals with the body's ability to produce, like, a relaxing sort of effect on your body, right?
Yeah.
So when you're supplementing with a ton of alcohol, your body lacks the ability to do that. So when you cut that out, right, that's one neurotransmitter that's affected. But typically with lifestyle, diet, all the things that go along with alcoholism, right, it's not just GABA that's being disrupted. You have your serotonin levels being disrupted. You have your dopamine levels being disrupted. There's a million things that are going on in your body. So, like, yeah, it's going to take you a while to bounce back from that.
Absolutely.
Because you've conditioned your body to sort of think like, okay, if your life and your lifestyle is a battlefield, in essence, right?
Yeah.
Your body's going to adjust.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
To survive. We're adaptable creatures. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
We're also creatures of our own downfall. So when you're, self-medicating with all this stuff, it really messes your body up on like a million physiological levels.
Oh, 100%. And I think, and also to also go down a little bit further down this road, I told this person that they should. What I did after I stopped is I went to the bar every single day. Mm-hmm. Every single day. When I wanted something to drink, I had a no duels. Mm-hmm. And that worked. Because I feel like, for me, the not drinking thing was more, or not, I mean, the drinking was just something to do while I was hanging out with everybody around me.
Yeah, for sure.
So I didn't want to remove what I love the most, which was being around all of my friends.
Right, which if you are a social person and you're doing it as a social thing, and then it becomes a problem, right? If you stop and your mechanism of stopping is to abstain from your entire lifestyle,
then that's awful.
Well, of course your serotonin levels are going to drop.
Yes.
You're depressed as fuck because you
100%.
love being around people, and now you can't be around people anymore.
Yeah. Oh,
because there's alcohol.
and the candy and the sweets and the cakes. You don't understand the stuff that you want and crave after there's no alcohol because there's so much sugar.
Hey man, you want to talk about the addiction circuit in your brain?
Sure.
Because it's a whole system, man. It's not just like, okay. So
mine's got to be awful.
No,
like I've got to have the worst addictions reward center in my head.
No, it's not. We're all sort of hardwired from birth, right? To have a checks and balance system in our brain. And it's the reward system, right? So anytime we do anything right that's going to preserve our own survival, right?
Yeah.
We are rewarded for it on a neurotransmitter sort of level.
Yes.
So, one of the ways that we do that is when you're a kid and you have that first piece of candy or that first piece of cake. It's like amazing. It's so sweet. You get rewarded from it. Well, from an evolutionary psychology point of view, that's because a lot of the high caloric intake things that you could take into your body were high in fructose. It triggers...
Damn you, America.
So it triggers sort of on an evolutionary level the circuitry that's already in, developed in your brain.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Same thing with social stuff, same thing with alcohol, same thing with anything that we do. It all stems from some sort of evolutionary byproduct, in my opinion.
I think so too.
And it's not just one part of the brain that's involved in it, several parts of the brain. And so, if you think about a singular experience where you've had a good experience, where you felt good about something, right?
Yeah.
That might be the equivalent to, a single thread of, embroidery thread, right? So, a single little thread. The more times you do that experience, the better you feel about it. Then all of a sudden it becomes like a cable. All of a sudden it becomes like the cable on the naval ships where you see the gigantic...
Yeah, that's actually a really good analogy.
Oh, thank you.
Well done. Well done.
But when you think about drug addiction in particular, there's so many things involved in it, right? It's your environment. It's the people you're around. Paraphernalia. Smells, sight, taste.
Yeah.
Everything feeds into this massive cable that you've created in your brain, right?
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't go away overnight.
Absolutely not.
So when you remove that sort of experience, right? So just taking the drug away singularly, it's not enough to change a habit.
Not at all.
It really and truly is a disease that we don't understand.
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing that you were able to.
Well, and I think that I said in the one episode that I replaced it with cocaine right off the bat.
Well,
and it just had to be something else. And when I got rid of that, I poured it into podcasts. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
Supplemented.
This is what I'm addicted to now. Is just this fucking microphone. And I realize that about myself, so I don't feel like that it's an issue. I would rather be just like we were saying earlier. If you're addicted to something that is making you better, or if you're addicted to something that is bettering your life, then then you can play that to your benefit.
Maybe another talk we need to have for another day, because I feel like it's a whole can of worms. Would be social media.
Oh, Jesus.
Because
we'll definitely have to.
That's a whole nother addiction, a whole nother ball game. I think that's going to become very prevalent in the next
That
decade.
reward center is.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same.
That cable is large.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah.
These people.
I know, it's depressing.
It is depressing. We're coming up on about an hour and 36 minutes just now.
Sorry, guys.
No, by all means. This is great content. Do you we'll wrap this up here in a minute. Do you have anything that you want to leave in the brains of anybody who may listen to this anytime in the now or the future? I speak to the future a lot.
Yeah. I think really just if you're struggling with anything, reach out, talk to someone.
Yes.
But also, more importantly, be self-aware and trust yourself, because any advice that you seek is only as good as the person that's giving it.
True story.
It's only as good as the circumstances surrounding it. It's only as good as you want it to be. With that being said, I think that if you're ever at a point where you're hurting, or you worry about what you're going through, or you're anxious or anything like that, it never hurts to voice that. When you open that door and you talk about it, it's difficult, but it does get easier.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a psychiatrist, a psychologist. It could just be a friend or a family member.
Or yourself.
Yeah, just be honest with yourself.
I record things and listen to them back so I can hear myself say things that I need to hear because I trust me.
That's why you don't hate the sound of your voice with these headphones on.
Yeah. That's probably true. So I'm like, you know what? This guy, he sounds reliable.
Yeah, I would trust this dude.
I trust this guy.
Me, I'm not so sure about.
I'm not going to buy a used car from him.
I couldn't even picture you as a used car salesman.
Well, I
Funny
used to be
enough.
that guy.
Yeah.
It's funny.
In
Sort of.
another lifetime.
In another lifetime, indeed.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for your kind words all the time. Appreciate you being a listener. Is there anything that you listen to or watch that you, the good listeners of this podcast might not stumble upon otherwise? I know this is last minute.
No, it's okay. I feel like a lot of what I listen to you can find on like the NPR homepage for podcasts, but I really enjoy Stuff You Should Know is a favorite one. It's just a lot of like stupid little tidbits that you can walk away from. And Serial has a new season out. Listen to that. Big on that true crime stuff. And there's also a new podcast called Atlanta Monster, which is like mind-blowing. And I apologize, you're gonna fucking binge it. And it's really depressing because it's about like a child serial killer.
Oh no.
That targeted African American children in like the 70s.
Oh no.
And there's no closure.
That's just fucking awful.
But it's great. So go listen to it, guys. Stay up all night. Sorry.
Go listen to it. Stay up all night. Unless you're children. Go to bed, you heathens.
Yeah, please don't listen to that. That's like boogeyman stuff.
Go to bed, you heathens.
Night, guys.
Night, guys. All right. Well, thanks, Alisha, for being here, sweetheart. Such a good episode. Such a good episode. All right. Be good people. In a world full of people who are just choosing to be dicks every day, don't be one of those people. Choose to be the good person in every situation.
Or just, like, talk to people, man.
Talk to people, man.
And mean it. Don't talk at them. Talk with them.
Yahtzee. All right. Peace, bitches.
Good night.
All right, we're out of the audio. Let's wave at the good people of the world. Bye, world.
Night, night, Facebook.
I don't mean bye, world. That just sounds awful. It sounds like I'm signing off permanently.
Forever.
Farewell. Till next time, world.